G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Boundary Riders podcast, episode 166. And of course, we've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to be taking a look at the umpire contact situation through the Collingwood Gold Coast game last week and our thoughts on that. Port Adelaide potential targets for the upcoming off-season. We're also going to be taking a look at the Brisbane Lions and their return to form. Of course, the preview to the new round, the recap of AFL Fantasy throughout the week and much, much more. So let's roll the intro and get straight into it.
Welcome to the Boundary Riders podcast, your one-stop shop for all your AFL content needs.
He looks at his options and Jack Ginnivan says, boys, you brought me to the club to do justice!
But this guy has flog written all over him.
From a tack down, Reed sprints away from Petrarca, leaves him in his wake, takes a second bounce, takes a third. The sheer arrogance of Harley Reid. Finish the job, young man!
So let's get into the footy news from the week that was.
So guys, as always, my brother is with me this week. Doing it one day earlier today, so we're doing it on 6/7. So great. 6th of July. And next week, guys, what a massive episode. Episode 167. Do it again. Fuck, we're 4 years old. Anyway, for the 3 people that potentially could be of age that actually like that reference, hopefully you did enjoy that. But anyway, on the week that we just had of the footy, finally got everyone back playing and the ladder's starting to really, start to firm up where you kind of know which teams are going to be around the mark and which teams probably won't get there.
And showing the mediocre teams there's still a chance.
Yeah, well, I mean, North Melbourne is still a chance. Carlton, they're probably not looking very mediocre anymore, but they're sort of up there.
Yeah, they're facing their first test this week.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they go. And, of course, your team, Port Adelaide, have won their last 2 games and still a mathematical chance.
Yeah. So first time under Josh Carr that we've won 2 consecutive games in a row, which is some sort of, if you want, but it's nice to get back be on the winners column for a couple of weeks.
Now, I mean, you come up against St Kilda this week. You tip the Saints, which, I mean, you guys will see later. Do you give Port Adelaide a bit of a chance, or do you think they just won't get it done?
I just think that there's these teams that are actually going well, especially playing at home for St Kilda, it's a big test for Port Adelaide. Yeah, I just think that, it has been a sort of a struggle with the amount of his Port Adelaide have had, and I think also with TDK out, Rowan Marshall, he's still the solo ruck.
He's still the best ruckman at St Kilda.
Yeah, he still is.
He just knocked it down. I mean, look, they were playing Essendon, so let's not give him too much of credit. I mean, Naz just had the ball on a string, 46 disposals. Did you see he's had 90 disposals in 2 weeks? I mean, that's just crazy. How much did Port Adelaide offer him?
Well, this is like the why would Naz be tagged? No point.
Yeah,
we're going to chuck the whole checkbook at him in a couple of years.
Well, yeah, when Butters goes,
our salary cap will be so open.
Yeah, boys, Naz, just here's the blank check. Just $3 million a year. Is that what you want? I mean, Zach Butters was offered $18 million from the Tigers. Naz, you can take that, can't you? You want more? You can have more.
18 million over 6 years. That's $3 million. That's about par.
I think that's about right. Just get him a nice little mansion in the northern suburbs in North Adelaide. I mean, should be right to go. I think that's pretty good. We've got a couple of nice houses around there. He could live there. He can live here if he wants. Come on, Naz, you can live here. On Port Adelaide though, they've lost 5 games this season by under 3 points. They currently have 6 wins throughout the season. Percentage of 102.
Which I think they said after the round we were the second or third best in the league.
Yes, that's one other thing as well. Also, the fact that's actually crazy for Port Adelaide's defence. Like, I mean, we always talk about how poor it is and how there's not a lot there, but this season it is overachieved to a massive extent.
Yeah, it has, and with like I've mentioned a few times already, is the amount of injuries Port Adelaide have had to still be in the top 3 of the best defences in the league. Some sort of feat. Yeah,
it's absolutely crazy. I mean, Fremantle are outright the best. You got the Swans, who have only conceded 1,279 throughout the year. Port Adelaide have actually conceded less than that. They've conceded 1,263. So they've actually, I think, got the second best defence in the competition.
I think it is the second. I couldn't early.
And I mean, Port Adelaide have some really exciting young players up forward as well. You got Jack Whitlock, a couple of Joe Berry. So Mitch Georgiades is obviously the key. And I mean, if he kicks straight, that 4 column would look a lot better.
Amazing if he kicks straight.
And yeah, I mean, I did want to talk. I did want to chat about Port Adelaide because I think that they haven't been given the praise that they probably deserve this year. Because I do think that they have been one of the better teams in the competition. When you look at their win-loss record, you kind of look and you think they don't look that good. But they have proven to be a very good side, being able to compete in most games. I think other than maybe round 1 against North Melbourne, they've competed in most games this season and been competitive. Zach Butters. Is there a chance? Do you think there's anything that Port Adelaide could do at this point to keep him at the club?
It's a lot like last year with Naz. Like, everyone was expecting him to go. I think the difference here is that, you know, I think that the pool of Victoria, there's so many options. Like, there's I think it's so much harder. I'll be completely shocked he stayed, but I think with what he's saying the last couple of weeks, I think it's pretty much resound that he's going. Yeah.
I think he's kind of doing his farewell tour at this point. Do you think there's a chance that Port Adelaide could make it into the wildcard spots? They have percentage better than Western Bulldogs and Carlton, who are currently in there. And if they were to make it, you win a couple of games, you would assume they'd probably be up there with Collingwood's percentage of 104. They do have the draw, but with that being said, Port Adelaide are currently only 2 wins outside the wildcard spot. Do you think they have a chance, or do you think they can do it?
No.
I
think that I just think, you know, their close losses earlier in the year haven't helped, and there's no real benefit to get it when we have Dougie Cochran basically our first pick.
Oh, so you're saying they should just tank Port Adelaide?
No.
I agree.
No tanking.
Have you seen what Carlton have been doing? I mean, have you heard their issues with Cody Walker? If they continue to win games, they're not going to be able to pick him up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they'll have to do some
They have to do a lot of trades to try and get it.
Yeah.
And it's funny how they got rid of Charlie Curnow last year, and they've got a lot of picks coming through. They still might.
Yeah. I mean, Dougie Cochran will be a massive get for them. Hopefully they do get him, but. I mean, you sit around the mark at the moment. You sit with the Gold Coast Suns, the Giants, and St Kilda, the 3 teams above, and the 3 teams below, the West Coast Eagles, the Tigers, and the Bombers. And I would say right now, Port Adelaide, how I'd rank them at this point in time, I'd probably have them par with St Kilda. Giants, they sit with a pretty similar point with the Giants. So they have a lot of injuries, but they deserve to be higher on the ladder. We saw the Giants, of course, last week knock off the Dockers. For the first time. They've lost their first game in 15 matches now. I mean, the Giants are prone to doing this. They just have against the top team. They're just like, it's all right. Oh, we're gonna show up today. 10 of their best players out, and they show up and beat Fremantle. Very good win from them. Right now, we're sitting the top 10. We've got the Dockers up the top, Sydney 2nd, Hawthorn 3rd, Brisbane 4th, Crows 5th, Melbourne 6th, and then in the wildcard spots, we've got Geelong 7th, Dogs 8th, Collingwood 9th, and Carlton 10th. Now, if I read that that is 95,000 crowds at the MCG for 2 big wildcard weekend games.
Oh, yeah.
At the moment. And the teams that are hovering just outside the wildcard spots, you got North Melbourne in 11th, St Kilda 12th, GWS 13th, Gold Coast 14th, and Port Adelaide in 15th spot. And they're the only West Coast can't make it now. And obviously. If you had to guess right now, what are you thinking? Like, the most people are predicting that this is sort of the top 10 that's going to be sitting for the rest of the year.
I don't know. I just think that Carlton, they're not going to choke because after 8 rounds, they won't do anything.
Yeah, so you couldn't call it a choke.
I still think St Kilda will do it because they've got no games outside of Victoria.
Yeah.
As you know, so I still think St Kilda are the team that still jump in there. And I think that Melbourne will slide into the wild card. I don't think they finish in the top 6.
Okay. So who do you think runs back up? You think it's the Cats?
I think it's the Cats.
Yeah. I can't see the Cats finishing in 7th spot.
No.
Brisbane Lions, are we just conceding now that they're just going to go 3-peat? Yeah. All right. Well, I really... Unfortunately for you, Freo, you've done your best. You won 14 in a row, but that's it. Don't worry about it. Have a nice little silver medal. That's all right. That's all you get. It's going to be tough. We're going to talk about them a little bit later. Before we move on, we're still talking about Port Adelaide. I saw this post recently from, I think it's Zero Hanger, regarding the best players or the players that Port Adelaide could potentially target in the off-season. So the 5 they bring up are Tom Sparrow, which we've talked about many times. Seems like more and more that he potentially will be looked at by that he's going to stay at Melbourne.
Yeah, I think the last week and confirmed that he to sign.
He has shown a lot of great signs. If Port Adelaide could offer him a decent deal, would you like to bring him in?
Yeah, especially because we are going to lose Butters. I think it's obviously not the same caliber, but I think he would bring something to our middle. And I think a lot with under Stephen King has moved into more of a midfield role this season.
Yeah. We've also got the likes of Lockie Neal. I mean, would you like him at the club?
I would, but he looks set to go to Collingwood.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Charlie Ballard.
Yes. I think we mentioned this last week or the week before. Like, why are Port Adelaide not looking at this? We just mentioned Port Adelaide is somehow the second best ranked defense. Charlie Ballard would be another addition.
Yeah, I mean, I think he would make it a much an even better defense in the competition. Bailey Williams has been has been mentioned here as well. He's an interesting one because, of course, if he did go to the Dogs and Port Adelaide are expected to force it into a trade, Bailey Williams would. I mean, that's a player that Port Adelaide. Do you think that he'd be someone who would add a lot more?
He plays a lot of similar roles that Port Adelaide have already, but he is an SA boy. He's he does have other elements to his game which he has produced over the time of his career. So
he was probably in career best form before his injury at the Dogs this season.
Yeah,
too.
So I think he can bring a lot to Port Adelaide. So
and the last one here, Elijah Sardis. I've seen some reports recently, and I think this is probably a fair call. He could be the next Ben Hobbs.
Yes. No, I don't want him. But I think, I mean,
you've already got Will Brodie.
I think that we've trialled that with Will Brodie. I think that with Ollie Wines, he's asking to go around again. I don't know if he will, but I think someone like Will Brodie, I think he needs other elements to his game.
I can't see Port Adelaide bringing in an Elijah Sardis type if Ollie Wines goes on. We've already seen that they brought in Will Brodie, who was expected that he was going to play games. He's stuck in the sand for his whole Port Adelaide career so far. I think he played 1 or 2 games. 2 maybe. And he's just, unfortunately, the game's gone past that sort of midfielder, unfortunately. You have to have more strings to your bow. And I mean, you probably maybe have 1, or maybe 2, but you can't have more. And they've already shown with Ollie Wines and Willem Drew, they can't have more than that.
Yeah, I think it showed with these new roles has completely destroyed those sort of midfielders over the last couple of years.
Yeah, because I mean, ruckmen now are incentivized to jump and punch the ball rather than knock it down to their toes and have the players all just converge in one. So yeah, I think that's probably an interesting take. Port Adelaide, I know I've talked a lot about them early here, but they're probably, if you're looking at their list right now, you probably want probably another forward to help out Jack Whitlock's development. Would you say another forward, like another key forward maybe, or another hybrid maybe?
Yeah, but you got Dougie Cochran coming in. I know that obviously these big tall players will take longer, but as long as we have Georgiades, it's okay. It's okay at the moment. And you've got Todd Marshall as well. I know that if you look at it, like Whitlock, Marshall, and Cochran, they're all probably similar body type.
Yeah.
So they may be a bit too thin, not a lot of strength, but just.
Well, Jack Whitlock will grow into his body.
Yeah. So basically, Josh Carr should be saying it post-season to Jack Whitlock, just stay in the gym. Yeah. You're doing weights.
Eat your protein.
Yeah.
Eat your protein.
Yeah. Do what did Tom McDonald do in 2021? He changed his diet. He was just a carnivore.
Yeah.
He just ate meat. He wasn't eating anything else.
Yeah. So
he needs to go onto that sort of a diet and go just do that for the 6 months over.
He had a good game against North as well.
So yeah. So
what, if you had to say right now, what are Port Adelaide's 3 biggest needs? What would you say?
I'd still want another key defender.
Yeah.
Probably another midfielder because we will. That's obvious.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say. Probably another small high forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that Port Adelaide probably are lacking a little bit of like that.
It's an X factor, really. Actually.
Yeah, I guess the X factor probably. I mean, if Zach Butters goes, Horn Francis probably has it. He probably has that sort of X factor. But I think that's all.
But he has the burst of speed, but he doesn't have the pace, the ongoing pace all game.
Yeah, I don't think he has the real polish at this moment in time. Maybe he can butcher the ball at times. So I think that is probably something that Port Adelaide need. The X factor, the midfielder. I don't think they really need the grunt worker because they've already got that with Willem Drew. I think they need the spark player.
Yeah, like Butters would have, but you don't. Yeah. If you need another midfielder, you need the X factor and you need a key defender.
Yeah. I think that's probably a fair call. Anyway, let's move on from Port Adelaide. I'm sure there's not a lot of you guys that listen to this one for Port Adelaide talk. Let's talk about this umpire contact situation. So on the weekend, Gold Coast played Collingwood. Pretty stern affair, I would say. A lot of pushes and a lot of like biffos across the field. And then we had the umpire contact situation when Braden Maynard sprinted across the field. I think it was like 100 metres away, didn't break stride, and then it was an incidental incident when he ran into the umpire. But obviously the AFL looked at it. There's been a lot of opinions around the league, but eventually the AFL handed down a fine to both him and Miller because he sort of pushed him into it. What's your thoughts on this, first of all?
Well, the AFL is weak as piss, as someone else has already done.
Yeah.
It's that the AFL would rather fine a player because it gives them more money. They don't, even though that everybody knows that if you suspend a guy, they'll stop.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's kind of what's happened with the tackle. Like
Yeah.
the sling tackle, it doesn't happen as much anymore.
yeah, they've taken players have taken more care in it. You know, in a way of tackling and stuff like that. The AFL comes out and says they want to protect umpires, that you don't abuse umpires, don't talk about the umpire decisions, don't do any of that. It's last 3 weeks especially, it's all about, these umpires protecting them.
Yeah, I mean, you threatened Jai Simpkin a $20,000 fine for not even suggesting that he had an issue with umpires, and yet you can't stand up on this.
And then it literally comes in 2 weeks later, and you have the prime chance to say what you've been saying and put your foot in the ground and be like, Maynard suspended for a week, and like took Miller maybe a week or a fine for what he did, because Maynard literally sprinted across the ground.
Yeah,
and basically beelined the Gold Coast player, and then the contact happened.
Yeah.
Well, that's your own fault, Maynard. You literally had your eyes red hot on the player. You knocked into an umpire. Maybe not intentionally, but you still did it.
Yeah.
That's a week. And, but if, as some people have been saying, like the umpires should be a bit disappointed in the decision.
I would say so as well. Now, I mean, we've been pretty adamant on the channel, on this podcast, that, the umpiring has got worse and it's been pretty poor this year. But by no means does that mean we think that the umpires should be in any sort of way, should be, like, they should never be touched.
No.
And in this situation, I don't think he meant to do it, but the fact that he didn't have any duty of care, he didn't even think about that sort of situation.
Yeah.
Should have, this should have been the AFL's line in the sand to say, look, Braden, or whoever it is, or Took as well, both of you are going to be are going to be suspended for a week or two because we don't want this in our game. They continue to like sprout their, we care about the umpires and all this sort of bullshit, and it's like, yeah, well, it seems like it's more just to protect yourselves.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is. It's more just to protect yourselves as the AFL. Because now when you have an opportunity to actually protect the umpires and make a stand here, you pussy out. You don't even bother.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I know there would have been a lot of people disagreeing with if they both got suspended. But at the end of the day, the AFL have been coming out and, as you said, saying, protect the umpires, stop doing what you're doing. You basically just step back and be like, nah, not our problem.
Yeah, not our fault. It's all right.
Yeah, not our fault. We'll just take the money.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, what's a fine to an AFL player? What's a fine?
Yeah, exactly.
What was it, $1,000 each?
Oh, that's something stupid. But
I'm sure they would have really cared about that.
And it's like, some players, as they've been saying, like, players don't care about a fine. You've got players having already paid $50,000 plus.
Zach Butters, you think he cares about a fucking fine? I bet you if he goes to Richmond, I bet you it's part of his contract that he gets, that any money that's taken out through fines is going to be taken out of fucking Ryan Mansell's contract, not yours, Butters. So you think he gives a fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, these players would probably be getting brand deals fucking for $1,000.
Exactly.
Like, at a minimum for fucking, like, fucking probably get like a podcast appearance fee of like $1,000. You think they give a fuck about a fine for $5,000?
Yeah,
they don't care.
Exactly.
And why would they? I'm not saying they should care. By the way, you're getting paid millions of dollars. Like, you give a fuck about $1,000 fine? I bet you fucking I bet you fucking Braden Maynard wipes his ass with $1,000.
Yeah.
No, it's just ridiculous. And I mean, maybe this would be a little bit surprising to some people who are listening to this, that we're on the side of that. And I mean, maybe you can make the point of like, oh, you just hate Collingwood. I think Took Miller probably should have been suspended as well.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have happened. Like when Toby Green did it a couple of years ago, he got 6 weeks because it was an intentional push. I don't think he should get 6 weeks for this. I don't think it was an intentional decision. But the thing is, if you give Maynard a week and Miller a week, the next time this sort of situation does happen, the player's going to think, do I want a week for this?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, you look at, like, how we've been saying, the AFL's saying we're evolving, 6 weeks for Toby Green a couple of years ago for intentionally doing it. It's like, so basically what now we're saying, well, because it was accidental, that means it's nothing. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Yes, 2 players contacted, forced, even though it was accidental. It's like, well, it's still weeks. As we've seen with so many decisions in this season, how many accidental things have happened.
Yeah.
How many players...
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing as well. Like when, for example, like an accidental concussion from Paul Curtis onto, I think it was Hamish Davis or whoever it was at West Coast. That was an accidental situation. He got 3 weeks for that. Now, I understand the umpire didn't get injured, but I think the umpires need to be held to a higher standard. The fact that, obviously players are going to have contact in a contact sport, but the umpires aren't involved in that.
Yeah.
So even if it is an accidental incident, it still should be a suspension.
Exactly.
That's how I would sit on the situation anyway. But guys, let us know down below what you guys think. I swear I don't think it is just a Collingwood. I mean, people can say it's a Collingwood favouritism decision. I just think the AFL are pussied out and they don't want to deal with the situation. But, I mean, I can see why people would say it's a Collingwood thing. Like, they don't want to suspend a Collingwood player. Look at Billy Frampton with Brody Myercheck.
Yeah.
Like, that was, only a week or two prior to that, it was the Curtis tackle.
Yeah.
And then Frampton gets away with something that nearly broke Brody Myercheck's neck.
Yeah.
But that doesn't count. And then you look at Braden Maynard with the situation with Angus Brayshaw. Ended his career off that bump.
Yeah.
But the AFL didn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
AFL backed away. So I understand why people think it's a Collingwood issue.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't really buy into that. But I would understand that thought process around. I understand the conspiracy. Anyway, let's move on. So, yep. From now on, I think umpires just knock them off. Who cares, really? Eh? Let's move on. We'll move to Rate It or Hate It, the fan favorite segment of the podcast. Andrew Dillon's probably hasn't messaged me in the last couple of weeks. He's not too impressed. He's too busy working on sports bets too many like sports bets deals. He wants to try and get a couple of extra zeros on his contract with them. Have you seen the amount of money he's making off a sports bet? Too much. Okay. Anyway. Love chucking a bet on the game. But Andrew Dillon, not really impressed by us the last couple of weeks, unfortunately. Just haven't been speaking high praise of him enough. And he isn't putting enough zeros on our contract. If he starts giving us a couple of extra zeros, look, I'll praise the AFL till the cows come home.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'll let him know. I'll let him like, oh, fuck that umpire got fucking pushed over. Should have fucking gone harder, brain. Fuck me. Anyway, let's move to our first statement for Rate It or Hate It. The Bombers should get a priority pick.
No, hate it.
Just move on from it.
Yeah, basically, they've had so many top 10 picks in the last 10 years. It's not the AFL's fault or anyone else's fault that they can't pick a good player. Yeah. Well, they can't develop them into a good player.
Yeah.
That's their own fault. And the fact is that they hit rock bottom now. Well,
I mean, who have they picked up?
Look at North Melbourne for example. They're still shit.
Yeah. Well, you look at the picks that they've picked up in the top 10 over the years. They picked up Zach Reid, probably being a better one, but he's been so injury prone. Wasn't Archie Perkins a top 10 pick?
Yeah. That was a mistake.
Was Harry Jones a top 10 pick? He would have been high.
He would have been high, but I don't know if he's 10.
Andrew McGrath obviously was.
Nick Cox.
That's the one. Nick Cox. That was obviously a disaster.
Yeah. But you can't really... fault
you can't blame him, but I mean, it's also like that's
as well. Sardis,
that was a mistake. Ben Hobbs was another one.
And
why is it always the same sort of player? These fucking midfielders that do nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
They dominate at VFL level, but you're not picking up a VFL player. You're picking up an AFL player. I mean, obviously the draft is a bit of a lottery, but they do waste them.
Yeah.
And I don't even think was Nate Caddy even a top 10 pick. I'm not too sure.
No. Oh. I don't know. I'm pretty sure, but Kako was, but I think he's too young to know what he's really going to be.
Yeah, I mean, he's still working out his craft. Like, what's he going to do? But Andy McGrath, of course, now is the captain of the side.
But he was a number 1 pick.
Yeah,
after the drug saga.
Yeah, I mean, do we really think that he's lived up to that? I don't think really.
I think if you look and redraft that draft, I think a lot of people wouldn't even put him in the top 10.
Nate Caddy was actually picked up at pick 10 in his 2023
also,
draft.
with him as well, it's like, was Logan Morris in the same draft?
Yeah, he could have been.
Was he the year after? Either or, but I think you look at that. Logan Morris is better.
No, he would be. He would have been in 2023 because he played his first season in 2024. Logan Morris, and he won his flag.
Yeah, so you look at that. It's like
the players they leave out on the table,
Yeah.
and then you look at their list decisions with Ben Mackay, obviously the big one, right? He's been paid so much money to do barely nothing back there. Like we've seen all these highlights of him in the footy, looking around the ground like he doesn't even look like he's an AFL player.
he doesn't know what he's doing forward, and he's struggled back. Like he played. Some people have said like he played one great season at North Melbourne and he left.
Was it even that great?
But
I mean,
it wasn't
good.
But it wasn't a great season. It was a great season by his standards.
Yeah.
But it was a good season average.
Yeah.
But they threw the book at him, and how many teams were looking at him? Because I know
Sydney, Port, Essendon were the big ones.
We were so lucky we didn't hit that.
We
one.
fucking dodged the bullet there. Absolute great job from us. Pat on the
Yeah.
back. But fucking thank God we dodged that.
It's like and you look at some other ones. You look at Zach Merritt. Well, he was in the. I think he was picked 50 plus, wasn't he?
Yeah, he would have been way back in the day.
Nick Martin was 30 plus.
I mean, they're best players. Some of them are just players that they've they picked up Nick Martin as an SSP signing. Zach Merritt would have been a very low pick.
Yeah,
when they got him. A lot of their players that are their best players.
I think Mason Redmond was a late pick as well. Peter Wright was a trade.
Jai Caldwell was a trade. Will Setterfield was a trade. They're some of their better players. And I mean, they fucking delisted Will Setterfield last year, and he's one of their better. He has been a pretty decent player for him this year when they re-signed him, because they're like, oh fuck, we got no one else.
Then you look at someone like Jake Stringer, who's they've had in their team. And
highest goal scorer for their team, and then they let him go to the GWS Giants, which is fine because I mean he's getting towards the end of his career, but you don't really bring in anyone to help Nate Caddy.
Yeah.
I mean Peter Wright, he had that one good year,
but the fact is that they don't have any ruckman. They've had to chuck him in the ruck with Vizentini injured and not experienced enough, and Blackenston. Well,
I mean he was brought in as an SSP defender.
Yeah, so you look at that and it's like you're not helping the young forward develop. Yeah.
I mean, no wonder Nate. You look at him and you're like, if he was in the team of Brisbane with as Logan Morris, you turn them around. I think Nate Caddy's probably up there with him, on talent, and I think he'd probably be kicking as many goals. But unfortunately, he just doesn't have the delivery that Logan Morris has.
Yeah.
So it's really unfortunate, and you can understand why there'd be rumours regarding Nate Caddy being, frustrated. Maybe another club could try and pry him out of there.
Yeah.
We've seen that with the Gold Coast Suns for all those years. They had all those players. They were getting frustrated. They wanted success. Tom Lynch left. Stephen May left. Dion Prestia. And I mean, obviously they were on high contracts at expansion clubs, but they were happy to go.
Yeah.
What's the point of staying around this stink fest when we can go win a premiership? We have the talent. I have the talent for it. Why would I not leave and try and get a premiership out of it and get similar money?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Second statement for Rate It or Hate It. Jeremy Cameron needs to get his arm right before playing for Geelong again this season.
Individually, yes. It's probably, for him and the team's aspect, yes. Because they're not winning anything if he's not fit.
Yeah.
I've said this last year. I've said it. I think the year before. Shannon Neal is got the yips when it comes to finals. He doesn't perform well in them, and he has not performed on the big stage. If Jeremy Cameron's not there, they're not winning anything. Doesn't matter how good their defense is or forward or their midfield is. They're not winning anything if Jeremy Cameron's not fit.
So would you say right now send him off to somewhat get some quick surgery and get him back for the finals if they get it?
To be honest, I think it's too late in the season to do that. I think that they needed to rest him. They knew this diagnosis, I think, at the start of the year.
Well, yeah, he missed the first round as well.
And I think he needed to miss a lot more of it. They managed Dangerfield so well over the season. The last couple of years, they've managed him so well. He got him good for the end of the. I got no idea why they didn't do it with Jeremy Cameron. They don't need him in the first 6 weeks of the season. They didn't need him in the last 8 weeks of the year.
Yeah, I think Brisbane have proved the fact that you don't have to be in the greatest of form in the first 13 rounds of the year As long as you do bank those, at least half, at least 2/3 of your wins. If you can bank at least 2/3 and maybe get to halfway, and you're looking around 8-7, 9-6, you can run the rest of the season.
Yeah, you don't need to be finishing top. You know, and Brisbane has proven that they can win a premiership from fucking fifth.
Yeah.
It's not as hard as it, and especially Geelong, they don't need Jeremy Cameron to beat West Coast.
Yeah.
They don't need Jeremy Cameron to beat Bulldog. Even though he kicked 10, they don't need the other. They don't need those players. They don't need Jeremy Cameron to win every single.
Yeah.
And earlier in the year, they should have got him fit, and I think it's too late.
So you think they can't win the flag?
No, I don't think they can, because the fact is, if Jeremy Cameron is hobbling, and I don't think they can win the flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, big call here. Oh, I mean, we may have been able to bring in Chris Scott as a big fan of this segment, but now we've lost him.
Yeah.
Huge loss.
Yeah, that's right. Brad Scott will be all right.
I don't know if Brad Scott's gonna like. I mean, he may like us because we're absolutely just bagging Essendon after he left. He left the ship. He got out of the ship just before it sunk.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, I don't think you can rule out Geelong as being a premiership contender yet, because they just have so many runs on the board. But I understand where you're coming from. I mean, they have Shannon Neal there, and we know, I know you said he has the yips in finals, and I mean, there's probably a lot of evidence to suggest that's true, especially on the big stage. Like, I think he had a pretty good final series until the grand final, last year. But I don't think I think I agree with you on the fact that, like, did they need him for the first 6 to 8 weeks this season? Because they just put him on, like, they didn't make, I know he didn't make opening round, I'm pretty sure, against the Gold Coast.
No, he didn't play it because they didn't care about it.
Really.
No. They didn't care.
Yeah, no, they didn't care. It seems like any team that plays in opening round, other than the host teams, really don't care. I mean, even Brisbane, like, they've won the premiership. They're like, bro, can we just start the season next week? Like, we barely got a preseason.
Yeah, they didn't even win their first game.
Yeah, they didn't win their first 3 games, Brisbane. And look at them now. Everyone's like, oh, fuck, they're the premiership favourites. Who remembers the first 3 weeks of the season from the Brisbane Lions?
Exactly.
No one.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they didn't win one. They were down the bottom of the ladder. No one cares now. They're like, oh, well, they're going to... I mean, Fremantle who? Who gives a fuck? Brisbane are going to win the flag. I totally agree. They probably should have left him out for at least... Like with... They manage players like Dangerfield, Stewart so well. Like, they're the team that, like, have late withdrawals more than fucking I've had hot meals.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think they probably could have left him out for the first... Even half of the season. Get his arm right. Because we saw how... impacted he was in that grand final when they kept him on, surprisingly.
Like I said, Reece Stanley shouldn't have even fucking...
He should have even played.
Should have just retired, because at the end of the day, if you'd rather have a half-fit Jeremy Cameron...
over a fully fit player.
Yeah. Kind of shows you what your priority is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it shows how much you have faith in Reece Stanley. But anyway. And last statement for Rate It or Hate It. It's the Brisbane Lions against the rest of the league.
I kind of mentioned it earlier, and I just probably did. Yes. As you've mentioned before, if they're there, the only way they don't get win it is if they get knocked out. Yeah. They have to get knocked out before the grand final. Like, I'm actually really scared to know what Brisbane will do. I'm actually scared. The Gabba, last game of the round, I'm going to say it, Will Ashcroft has 40.
I mean, I think there's a big chance. We haven't seen it from him before. But, I mean, he's definitely worthy of a Sacamano nomination.
He was close a couple of weeks ago against Richmond, I think it was.
Yeah.
Down in Tassie.
I think he's a real chance this week.
Yeah, I think it's actually...
I think we call it... actually, I think they were mentioning they call it the Gary Ablett if he goes 40-4. I think you can go the Gary Ablett 40-4 this week.
Him and Neil could get close to doing it.
Yeah.
But, it's just crazy to think that this team 4 weeks ago were like, oh, no, well, they might...
You wrote him off. You went to start saying...
I was close. I was like, it's probably there. But, 2 weeks later, after the bye...
They've still got so many players to come back to. Zorko, McCluggage, their defenders starting to go down a few. They got Ryan Lester back for the Swans game. He comes back. They look much better. They come back with a fully fit team, round 21. Oh, you're clinging on.
The thing is that they're in the top 4 already.
Yeah.
They could rest 3 of their players this week against Essendon. Why not?
Yeah.
They can manage players now.
They know they don't have to make top. The thing is, I don't think they can. I mean, they may be able to make the top 2 if they get a bit lucky, but that's not going to be a priority for them. Like, they're 3 wins away from the Sydney Swans, and 4 from the Dockers.
Yeah, and it's proven that if they play Sydney in week 1 of the finals, or the qualifying final, they lost pretty badly.
Yeah,
didn't they?
in round 1.
Yeah. So, but they still know how to play every ground.
Yeah.
I'd.
And I mean, even if they do lose that first final, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They can still go the long way around.
They can still go the long way around. Like, it doesn't bother them.
I've not really been a hater of the Brisbane Lions, like even the last 2 years when they've won it, and even this year to an extent. But when does it come to the point when Brisbane are like the Tigers, when they went on that massive run, or the Hawks back in the mid 2010s? When is it till we get to the point where we're like, fuck, Brisbane, can we just? I think if they win it third one. If they win the third one, I think everyone's going to be like, fucking, I'm
Come
sick
on,
of this.
we need someone else. But the thing is, like, as we all know, how bad Brisbane were 15 years ago. How bad they were.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean. Like, to be honest, if it's a Freo Brisbane grand final, people will go for Freo.
Yeah.
Will want to see the first to see their first. But for anybody else, I'm pretty sure most people would still want Brisbane.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably fair. Yeah.
From the top 6, I don't classify Melbourne being the chances.
But even then, I mean, everyone really...
the other 10 teams that are in the wild card, from wild card now, everyone's probably going for Brisbane. Besides, if Freo can get into the game.
As a neutral, I tend to agree with you. Like, no one's barracking for Hawthorn unless you're a Hawthorn fan. No one's barracking for Geelong. No one's barracking for maybe a couple for Sydney. But even then, a lot of people don't really tend to like Sydney anymore.
And maybe the Crows, but everyone we're in South Australia.
I'll be wearing Brisbane colours if they're playing the Crows.
Yeah,
I tend to agree with you.
It's the thing. Yeah. But maybe if they win a third, maybe people will be more concerned.
I'll be sick of it by then. I've had enough.
Well, the only ones who care about if Brisbane win again is St Kilda, because they don't care, because they hate the academies.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, poor St Kilda. I mean, haven't you not picked up some fucking shit players in your draft year? I mean, you had a chance to get Petrarca, you lost it.
You had a chance to get Bontempelli. You chose
Billings. Jack Billings is pretty good. I mean, he's playing for the Dogs reserves now, isn't he? Yeah. I think he's playing for them. Yeah, I think he's playing for Footscray. Yeah. Oh, they got him in the. The Dogs got him both in the end. All right, guys, that's it for Rate It or Hate It this week. Let's get to the preview to the new round 18. A lot of big games coming up, so let's get straight into it. Later, we have 4 big games we're going to be taking a look at in this video, of course, and we start with the game of the round in my eyes. First game of the round, which is the Thursday night contest between the Sydney Swans and Fremantle at Optus Stadium. Now, Fremantle lost their first game in 15 attempts last week against GWS. The Giants were relentless with their pressure, and the Dockers simply couldn't find a way to win. However, they were kind of due for a loss, so it'll be interesting to see how they respond this week at home against Sydney. While on the Swans' point of view, they probably had one of their better performances in the last month or so against the Dogs last week. Great response after a terrible performance against the Lions. And something that I found, something that was really exciting as a Swans fan, is they found a new way to win. They didn't really use that helter-skelter handball game. It was a lot more methodical movement, which I really liked. And it was a great way to see the Sydney Swans win a game without having to use that one plan A. Found a plan B way to win, which is great to see. Now, Hayden Young was a bit of a concern last week, being listed to have a groin concern against GWS. However, it is unknown if there will be many changes from Fremantle this week. I don't think they'll make too many, considering this is their first loss in such a long time. I think they'll back in their team to go on again, so we'll have to wait and see how they go. While the Swans will be hoping for the return of Logan McDonald, who missed against the Dogs with quad soreness, and Tom Papley is also scheduled to return as well, so expecting him to return for Sydney this week after being out for an extended period with a calf strain. Something to take note in this one is Fremantle will be coming off a 5-day break, of course, with the same trip that the Swans will be making this week from New South Wales to WA, which is one of the longest trips in footy, but Sydney will be coming off a 6-day break, so something to take note there. Now, in the recent record between these two sides, the Swans have won 4 of their last 5 encounters against Fremantle, and also have a pretty good record at Optus Stadium. But for now, let's get into my tip, and if Fremantle didn't win last week against GWS, I would have considered picking the Swans to knock them off, as they were due for a loss, but now that they have lost to GWS, I can't see a way where Fremantle lose 2 games in a row, so I'm going to be picking the Dockers at home. They've kept that as a fortress this season, and I just can't see the Swans winning this game, especially with the players that they've still currently got out. I think the Dockers get it done. Up next, guys, we move to the Friday night contest between the Pies and the Roos. Now, Collingwood have won their last 3 games and are making a real strong case to be a part of wildcard weekend. while North Melbourne have been a team that win against the easy beats, but just can't get to that next step, and they kind of get battered against the teams around them. Against Port Adelaide last week, it was a game they had to win, but Port Adelaide have been in decent form, and North Melbourne still couldn't knock them off. Still haven't really built themselves as a mature side just yet. Now, Collingwood should see the return of Scotty Pendlebury and Isaac Quaynor, who missed last week against the Gold Coast Suns, while North Melbourne may make some changes through the VFL at this moment in time. Now, in the recent record between these two sides, Collingwood have the wood over the Roos, having won their last 3 encounters in recent memory, but North Melbourne haven't actually beaten Collingwood since 2019, so a 7-year drought. Maybe they'll be able to break it this week. Getting to my tip, and I honestly think this game can prove some credentials to the Kangas if they win it. It's a team around them on the ladder. I can't see both North Melbourne and Collingwood making it to 10th spot or a wild card spot, so I think this one is almost an 8-point game, but this is really where they can prove themselves. However, this year they have failed on countless occasions to prove that they are a mature side and deserve to get that spot in wildcard weekend, so I'm going to be picking Collingwood. I think they'll just be too strong in the big moments if it gets close, and they're just too experienced. So in the end, I think Collingwood will win this one pretty comfortably. After that, we get to GWS up against Geelong. The Giants bagged a massive win against the Dockers last week, breaking their 14-game winning streak. While on the opposite side of things, the Cats were absolutely terrible in that first quarter against the Lions and really couldn't peg their way back into it. So almost 180, but we will say Geelong did come off the bye, so maybe a little bit sluggish off that bye. This is a real chance to get back on the winners list this week. Now, the Giants will be without Lachie Whitfield after being ruled out at halftime against the Dockers last week with concussion, but they will likely see the return of at least Phoenix Gothard, who was managed last week. They also have Jaden Laverde, who's coming off the injury list, and Nick Madden, who returned through the VFL, so they all could make a return. However, they did just beat the ladder leaders, and I wouldn't be expecting too many changes this week. Only a couple, maybe just the one with Lachie Whitfield, and see maybe a defender return. Now, in the recent record between these two sides, the Giants have been the far superior side against Geelong, winning their last 4 games against them, both down in Geelong and in Sydney. So the Giants have absolutely no fears going into this game. But getting to my tip, and there are a lot of factors going the Giants' way. They have a good record against them. They've done really well in some big games this year. They've been able to knock off the likes of the Hawks, Melbourne, and Brisbane. So, I mean, why not? Why can't they beat Geelong? Unfortunately, I just don't have the balls to do it. I'm going to be picking Geelong to get back on the winners list. They don't tend to lose 2 games in a row, and I just can't see GWS backing this up again. I think they won a lot on heart last week. They did have a lot of players out, though. I can't see them being able to go 2 in a row with the squad they've currently got, so I'm going to be picking the Cats. And now to our final game we're going to be taking a deep dive into this week, which is the Blues up against Hawthorn. Carlton moved to 7 wins in a row under Josh Fraser and moved into a wildcard spot. However, the game against the Tigers last week was a very hard-fought win, and now this is their real big test. While the Hawks were dreadful in the first 3 quarters against the Demons last week, however, they absolutely stormed home. But in my opinion, I think they just flooded the scoreboard. I think Melbourne completely stopped and the Hawks ran riot, really. So I don't really take that much into account. I take those 2.5 quarters when they were down by nearly 95 points, rather than what happened in the last quarter and a bit when Hawthorn kicked a bunch of goals to get back into it. Now, Carlton will be without Lachie Young this week, who is out with concussion, and they'll be hoping for the return of young gun in Harry Dean, who missed last game against the Tigers, while the Hawks will be wanting a host of players back this week. Battle, Watson, Impey, and Amon all missed the last game down against Melbourne, and if they are to make it into the top 4 this year, they're going to need all of their troops on the field. Now, in the recent record between these two sides, Hawthorn do have the wood over the Blues, winning their last 3 encounters. But for now, let's get to my tip, and I think I just have to go Hawthorn here, as long as they get their players back. However, if they don't, then I actually give the Blues a bit of a chance. We saw how woeful the Hawks were without these players last week. Looked dispirited, terrible football, and yes, they flooded the scoreboard in the end, but without those players, I don't think they have the spark. But I am expecting the likes of Battle, Watson, Impey, and Amon all to return this week, so I'm going to be picking the Hawks at this stage. But for now, guys, of course, let's get to our full tips for round 18. My tips are Fremantle to beat the Swans, Collingwood to beat North Melbourne, Port Adelaide to beat St Kilda, Geelong to beat GWS, Hawthorn to beat Carlton, Adelaide to beat the Gold Coast, Dogs to beat the West Coast Eagles, Melbourne to beat the Tigers, and the Lions to beat the Bombers. And my brother's full tips for round 18 are Fremantle to beat the Swans, Collingwood to beat North Melbourne, St Kilda to beat Port Adelaide, Geelong to beat the Giants, Hawthorn to beat Carlton, the Crows to beat the Gold Coast, Western Bulldogs to beat the Eagles, Melbourne to beat Richmond, and then the Lions to beat the Bombers. Of course, we get to our AFL fantasy recap for the week now, guys, and I thought I was having a pretty good week up until Sunday afternoon, and it just didn't look as good as I was hoping. 2,193 for the round, ranked 38,428 for the round itself, and overall rank has dropped once again outside the top 10,000. Now, looking at the round that I just had, there were quite a lot of positives. John Noble with the 130, Bailey Dale with the 138, Dacos plus 100, Bailey Smith plus 100, Jordan Dawson 126 as captain, Isaac Heaney, back-to-back hundreds in my team so far, so I will take that. Lockie McAndrew has been brilliant to have kept him in my team. I could have gone with another ruckman, but got him through the buys, and now he's done really well, especially with other ruckmen dropping off. Sheezer with the 154, should have kept him as captain. Pussied out. I said, nope, I'm going to go with Jordan Dawson against the Eagles. Not a bad choice, but could have been better. Cozzy Pickett with the 104. Jason Horne-Francis with the 94. Petrarca, I mean, it's not great, but 84 from him is probably like 100 from him from his recent form. But unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of middle players. Like, there was a lot of highs, but there were also a lot of lows. Jaden Short with the 59. Like, for fuck's sake, bro. You're playing for Richmond. Why are they giving the ball to anyone else? He's one of their better kicks. Give it to someone else, please. Butters, 89. Could have done better against North Melbourne. Had a bit of attention from Finn O'Sullivan. Bontempelli, look, he got clamped by Jordan. We all can't take Jordan. Like, you've got MJ in the NBA, and you've got James Jordan just above him. Yeah. You can't take him on the Bont. I understand.
It's the reason the Bont will never win a Brownlow.
Exactly. He just got clamped by Jordan. I mean, look, everyone's got to have their Scottie Pippen. Unfortunately, Bontempelli was the Pippen to James Jordan. Unfortunately, he just couldn't get it done. Willem Dersma, it's just cost himself the Rising Star Award, 59. I mean, you've just given it up to what, Harry Dean? I mean, that's embarrassing.
I think Jagger Smith's pretty good at it.
No, Jagger Smith, I don't know. 69 from Sam Walsh, like, funny number, but other than that, pretty disappointing. Jordan DeGoey, what was that? That was fucking terrible from you. Like, they could have won by 5 goals if you actually turned it. And then Sam Durham. I had the choice between Marshall or Durham. I'm like, I'll go with Durham because at least he's playing midfield. And he was like, no, I play for Essendon, bro. I'm phoning it in this week. Did fuck all. Actually, I think he was one of the highest scorers for Essendon. Besides Merritt, of course. This club's fucked. When Merritt leaves the Hawthorn this year, they've got no one. They're going to be rock bottom. They're going to be the West Coast Eagles again.
They're worse. Somehow, he's going to get worse. That's the crazy thing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there are a couple of good scores on the bench. Like Fitzgerald with the 76, I take that. Herbert with 68. Lombard in his last game for my team got 58. But other than that, pretty disappointing. Let's have a look at your team.
Oh, I had a bloody good one. I got 2,347, which was ranked about 7,000 out of anybody.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't even believe when I was... At one point, after Friday night, after 3 games, I was projected to get 2,400.
2,400?
Yeah. So let's look at some of the positives you haven't mentioned. I had Naz at 160. Kind of wish at the start of the week I was thinking about it, but it was like I always say, I'd never go with a person for the first week if I bring him into the team. Zach Merritt 116. Callahan, I'll take 96. I think against Freo, I didn't expect him a huge score, so 96 I will take. Brody Grundy finally got back into and basically put a ruckman in English back to full back, so I think he wins it with 130.
I mean, that's basically getting benched.
Basically.
He basically got English benched. What did he get in the end, Brody Grundy?
130.
130, very good score from him. Probably best on the ground in that game too. Or second best.
The last month of him struggling, going in and out, and just...
I think Sydney were experimenting a little bit, trying to pick a ruckman, but then they're like, look, bro, can you just do it?
Yeah, just do it. Show us how it's done.
Show us how it's done, bro.
Let's just go to the few negatives, besides the ones... Oh, sorry, the other positive was Hawker Hahn was 80. For a rookie, I'll take that.
Yeah, I've got to mention that. He's done really well.
Yeah, for a person that I've been putting in my actual team, was pretty good. Lockie Ash with 87, kind of ridiculous.
I mean, if that's one of your negatives, it's still a pretty good week.
Especially when Whitfield went down, concussion. Like, what are you doing? Who else is distributing off half-back?
Yeah.
Come on.
You're the one kicking the ball.
Noah Anderson, 86.
I mean, I'd drop him of the captaincy.
I think he should be doing better against Collingwood. You know, everybody else was like Zeke Hewlin got 150.
Yeah, I mean, who the fuck?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. Shea Bolton was 82.
He had a good score at quarter time. I'm a bit surprised he didn't get more than that.
Yeah, like that was basically everyone else you mentioned.
Yeah. All right, let's move to our trades. So this week I finally got rid of Leo Lombard. I think I'm pretty set on that now. I've picked up Hamilton. I wanted to pick up Franco, but I'll have to try and figure it out next week. But it's given me enough cash to get rid of Willem Dersma. I mean, I know I joked before, but he's had a really good season in the team. And I had a couple of options, but even though he's a defensive midfielder, he scores enough. I'll go with Naz. Picking up Nasai, Wanganeen Miller. His fixture coming up looks pretty promising. Other than the Geelong game down at GMHBA Stadium and the Swans game, the rest of the season looks pretty good. He's got Port Adelaide this week, then he's got the Cats, then North Melbourne. Finn O'Sullivan could go to him, but I think that he'll probably get a pretty clean run at it. Then the Swans in the last 3 games are the Blues, the Tigers, and the Gold Coast. I don't think he gets tagged in any of those games.
Those last 3 games, you should be averaging about 125.
Yeah, so I think he's a set and forget for the rest of the season, and I'm pretty happy with that. That means Hall Kahan has to play in my team this week because of Lockie Whitfield's injury. But other than that, I mean, the only other rookie now I have in my team is Lockie McAndrew. And right now, I think I have some other pressing issues. So he may well stay for a little bit longer, McAndrew, because I don't know what Sam Walsh is a little bit annoying. I'm going to leave him there for now. Jaden Short's probably the one in the gun next, which may mean I can bring a midfielder in and swap Naz into defence. But at this stage, we'll have to wait and see. And in the forward line, Petrarca pissing me off. I mean, 84 last week, but I think he had about 30-odd a quarter time.
Yeah, he did.
And then, again, he just did nothing.
And I think it's only 100, I think, round 7.
Yeah, he started the season. Remember at the start of the season, we were thinking, this guy's going to go win the the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
He had a huge 100. He scored one score under 100 in the first 8 rounds. Of course, he did have an injury at that point. But since round 11, in round 11, he scored 107 against North Melbourne. He's gone 71, 70, 83, 54, and then 84 last week. He's got to go. But unfortunately, there's not a lot there are a few forwards now coming through. Chad Warner's probably the one that I would like to bring in for Sydney through the forward line. But yeah, a little bit disappointing. Tagawi, I'm fine with. And Durham, he better improve pretty quickly. And Rowan Marshall, I'd like to bring him in, but if the longer you keep him out, the more chance Taconi comes back into the team.
Yeah.
So if you don't get him now, you're going to have to get him in the next week, or else there's no point.
Yeah, because they what say 3 to
Maybe Ross Lyon will be like, look, don't worry about the money. Just take the rest of the season off. I need to win the car, the Hilux, and the crypto wallet, or whatever you get when you win this. So what's your team looking like?
So this week I finally got rid of Cumming. I'll see it.
Yeah.
I got.
I hate when you're just coming too much.
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly. I was just. I think he's just it. I think just fit. Nothing there, nothing left in.
No, there's nothing left. I mean, at this point, you just come and dust. So I understand.
Exactly. Yeah. So I did get Franco actually. So I thought, why not?
Yeah, good on him.
Yeah,
a very good
he's
first game.
Performed very well at Waffle in the first game he's played, and I expect him to play for it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think him and Herbert have done really well for the Eagles in their first couple of games.
Yeah, it's a little annoying because the fact is that I've still got 3 straight midfielders on which is annoying, but it's what we have to do. There's no bloody forwards coming.
Yeah.
I did get rid of Christian Petrarca. I couldn't. I
done.
just couldn't do. I was finished. Like it was done. And I did get Rowan. I'm so glad I didn't get Sam Durham. And I think with him not being there, Tom De Koning, I think for the next month or so, and it gives me enough cap space with just under 300k to upgrade some other players. I could have got Chadwick, and I still may because he will play because he does have a good, and he won't get tagged. Heaney, Errol, Blakey, you're not gonna tag him. So, but I think Rowan Marshall playing solo.
He's always had, and I just don't understand. I mean, I hope for a love of God he goes to a different club next year. Yeah. So then he will, because I mean, we had pretty discounted price because his average isn't that high this year.
And the fact is, he will be a forward.
Yeah, probably.
He's played forward all year, so
yeah, it'd be a great pickup.
Yeah.
So what players are you looking that you may have to trade out in the next couple of weeks?
Jaden Short and Jack Bowie. They're both not.
Jake Bowie trade was a bit of a.
It was a down. It didn't work. But aside from that, Hall Kahan in my team. Yeah. Basically, everybody else. So it's 3 defenders.
Yeah.
So basically, but the thing is, on my bench, I've got one player in Alga over 100k. He's about to max as well though, but it's like I don't have enough other reserves to bank up. So that's a little thing. Fitzgerald and Herbert are banking money as well though, but
Still
Well,
at
there's
least
still-
2 or 3 weeks away before you
still
can catch
2
him
or 3
out.
weeks, and like already this week, I'm projected to get 2,334.
Yeah. Well, if you score less than me this week, I'll be pretty disappointed in you, to
I
be
was,
honest.
and I don't think I mentioned, but I'm officially ranked in 12,500. So I'm catching.
You're catching me
Yeah.
pretty quickly. Well, I had a pretty strong lead, but last week was a bit of a downer. but you've
I
caught up.
caught so much.
Now, before we move to the ladder, let's just quickly talk about our team, our captains and vices for this week. So at the moment, I've got Nick Dacos as vice captain against North Melbourne. I am a little bit concerned that they will use a tag with Finn O'Sullivan, but at the moment, I think that he's probably got the best matchup. Bailey Smith was there against the Giants. I don't mind that move, but doesn't have the best record against GWS, no hundreds.
Or at NG.
Or at NG Stadium, so I'm a little bit hesitant on that one. Jordan Dawson against Gold Coast is promising, but I think the best one here against Port Adelaide, Naz, last time we played them in Gather Round, 139. I don't like to pick a captain when I bring him straight in. I don't know why. There's some sort of curse against it, but I'm going to leave it on him at the moment. But it's going to be, I mean, there's other choices. Harry Sheasel, Isaac Heaney against Fremantle. I don't know if Fremantle will send someone to him. Maybe a Carl Warner, maybe, but he's played pretty well off halfback this year, so I don't think they want to utilise him as a stopper. So I think Swans will probably go head-to-head with them, and Heaney could have a big game. But, yeah, I think Naz at the moment, Jordan Dawson's lingering, and I think Nick Dacos, I'm kind of hoping for a good score off on Friday night.
Yeah. I've went with Harry Sheasel, VC. I think Friday night, they don't tag. You know, like two players. I know the defenders in Gold Coast last week got over 100, like him and Noble. And I know the defenders, but I think Harry, after coming off the last 2 weeks last week of 154 and the week before 173, I'll just give it to him. I think he performed well against Collingwood.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that call.
And I went with, I think Port Adelaide, no reason to tag him. He's coming. We're going to throw them checkbook at him in the years. Like,
don't hurt your prize asset.
Yeah, we'll protect our prize asset.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move to the ladders for the channel. First of all, the head-to-head league. Lost 2 in a row now and have fallen right back into the pack, not looking great. I'm in 8th spot currently. I cling on to that spot. You are right behind me, down on the percentage or points for tally. You're still you're only 75 points behind me now, so you've caught right back in the recent weeks. Really unfortunate that I lost. I played against one of the top teams. I think it was
top.
No, it was Butters My Buns, which is second on the season ladder. In the head-to-head league, he is way out in front on the in the overall ladder, being nearly over 700 points in front of second place in the overall ladder standing. I'm in 6th on the overall, you're on 7th, so kind of in poor spots considering our actual score throughout the season. It's going to be tough. I think only the top 8 qualify, and Goonaville's the only one who may be prone to falling out. He did lose last week. I think that was against you, maybe. So you knocked off a guy in the top 8, so it was a big win for you, like an 8-point game. Massive. Looking at the Open League, and Butters My Buns continues to hold the lead. He's way out in front on Always Hungry, who has jumped into 2nd spot. Haven't seen that name so much this season, so he's right up there. My boy Swans Rule 2008 from Derek, he's in 4th spot. Nice to see. The Fremantle supporter in 5th, big and animated, dropped down to 5th, lost the game, the Dockers, and then he falls down too. Tough week for him. I've fallen outside the top 10, which I was there only a couple of weeks ago, down to 18th, and then you're sitting in 19th, so you're right on my hammer, not far away.
Yeah, I had, as I said, a great week.
Catching right back.
Yeah, I went up 5 spots.
Yeah, it went pretty well. So I think our Open League has 80 people in it, so it's going to continue to grow every year. I think that ladder stays, those people automatically get into the league every year that we make it. So that means that you guys will already, if you want to join it next year, then there'll already be 80 people a part of it. So as the channel grows, this will grow, the tipping ladder will grow.
It'll get harder.
It'll get harder, unfortunately. Unless we get a bunch of like 4-year-olds joining it. That'd be nice. We'll push up my ego. Oh my God, I'm in the top 20 and there's like 4,000 of them and like only 3,500 of them are like 8-year-olds who have never done this before. But anyway, guys, that's all we have for AFL Fantasy this week. And that's pretty much all we have regarding football. Let's move to some talk regarding the World Cup. And we start with the Socceroos. And what are your initial thoughts on the Socceroos being defeated against Egypt?
Oh, it was really heartbreaking to finish it off how I think there kind of needs to be a bit of question why Popovic decided to change the goalkeeper before the shootout. I think that was a huge call. But as I mentioned to you before, like he did that basically match day 1 by playing beat and over Matt Ryan. and he worked well, and the other changes he made were perfect, and it worked well. And he was basically gambling again, and this time it fell on deaf. He lost the penalty shootout. Matt Ryan didn't save anything, and it was not a great call from him.
No, I mean, I think when it happened, when it originally happened, I think a lot of Australian fans would be like, "Oh, okay, we don't mind this because what happened a couple of years ago in the qualifiers with Matt Ryan being swapped out for Andrew Redmayne, and in the game against Peru, and Andrew Redmayne had a massive penalty shootout."
Yeah.
When we first lost, we lost the penalty shootout and we went out. I was disappointed, but I was always like, we made a pretty good effort. But going further on this, I'm actually really disappointed on how we did. Like, we didn't score a goal after that first game. Yeah. Like, yes, we got that own goal, but we didn't score. I think we really underutilized the players that we had.
Yeah.
Like, we kept on playing Irankunda at striker in the 2 games in a row. We have a prime forward that is looking to, take over the world, Mo Toure. He is dominating the championship for the end of the season. He's kicking hat-tricks for fun for Norwich. He had a really good first game. Second game, who did he have with him? Lecky and Volupale. Like, 2 players from the A-League. Yeah. Like, they dropped Irankunda. That was a shock. And they dropped Metcalf when they both scored in that opening game. So I really put it on Tony Popovich. And I mean, we don't want to waste this. I know that people have said this, but we don't want to waste a new golden generation. This is our golden generation of our time. We had it in 2006. We got to the round of 16 and we got knocked out after Italy took a dive. Yeah. We could have taken them to extra time, but it took a dive. And that was our golden generation. And since then, I mean, we have overachieved in a lot of World Cups. So look at the last World Cup before this one. We had a terrible team. No one counted us for anything. Neither did we. And we had players like Matt Leckie, who, he's been a star for us. Like, I'm not discounting him, but he's not that player anymore. And he got injured in that game that he played, didn't play again. I just think that it was such a disappointment that we have this golden generation now. Volpato, I mean, maybe he wasn't match fit for the first game, but why wasn't he a part of that first? Like, he didn't even come on as a sub. And then he comes on as a sub in the second game. He plays well. So, I mean, what happens if he didn't play? What happens if he doesn't come on? We don't see him. Like, the only reason why he played the next 2 games is pretty much the whole public was like, he needs to play. Yeah. So they're like, okay, we'll play him, and then we're going to, because Toure didn't have a very good performance in the second game against the US, he's just on the bench now. He doesn't get to see it. And then in the game against Egypt, we looked promising when we were, we had Irankunda on the ground and Volpato was showing some signs, but Egypt looked like they were in control. And then all of a sudden we finally bring on Mo Toure, but then both Irankunda and Volpato come off the ground. And then, the whole situation with the shootout, I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say you can't really call out the people who took the shots, and it's just a lottery, really, if you get them or not. Yeah. I mean, unless you do outright just fuck it up, it's just a lot of pressure. So I don't really hold it, especially on Harrington. Like, the fact that none of the strikers stood up and said, "I'll take the shot." Yeah. Like, for fuck's sake, like, I don't even really blame. I mean, Toure to an extent, he should be taking a penalty. But for one, why the fuck is Sutar taking the first one?
No, yeah, that was the one to set the tone. And
I mean, if they're going to pick a senior player, pick Jackson Irvine. Yeah. I mean, he literally took the next one and he nailed it. So why wasn't he doing it? Yeah. I think he should have taken the first one. Yeah. Sutar, I understand wanting to get a experienced figure to take the first shot, but I'm sorry, you don't give it to a centre half. No. Not a centre back.
And as I was saying to one person, back on the goalkeeper scenario, Beach is a player, as we saw through that last game, through the whole tournament. Confidence, he exudes it. The amazing saves he did all tournament, maybe save of the tournament was the one he saved in the 95th minute against Egypt to get us 2 extra time. But to sub him off after the enormous tournament he had, to give a player who hasn't saved anything in a month, who has been ice cold on the bench sitting there for the 360 plus minutes of game time or whatever time game it was. That was you can't do that. It doesn't matter how good Matt Ryan has shown in Socceroos colours. To put him basically he's not cold. He's ice cold.
And you're putting him into the pressure cooker of a situation.
Of a situation like that, and it was.
And you can't blame Matt.
No.
Like, and this isn't to say like you're not proud of the Australian players that did what they did. I think they did really well for what they were given, but. And it's probably on the coach. Like Popovic, he did that. He got that one win against Turkey, which was massive. And then he was like, I'm just going to do that every game. Just make these these outrageous changes and hope they work. And unfortunately it didn't. And he was so defensively minded, like against the US and Paraguay. Like, yes, I understand Paraguay. No one wanted to score because they knew a 2-0 or draw would get them both through. So like, all right, we'll just play it out. And I think they showed like the XG, which is like the expected goals, was the lowest all tournament in that game because they just didn't want to score. But against the US, we played such a terrible front three that it put no pressure on the US defense. They were like, oh, you're not going to play the lightning speed of Irankunda against our defense. It's the only pressure that we could have. You're not going to play Metcalf, who was lasering balls around the ground in that first game. You're not going to bring on maybe Volpato, who showed when he was on the ground in that US game.
That first half against the US was just so different to what we saw in that first.
Yeah.
That first half against the US was just so stagnant. There no pressure on the US defense. It's like, yeah, it just built the pressure, and the 2 goals they got were pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean the first one was the own goal from Burgess. And he wasn't seen for the rest of the tournament after that own goal, basically. And it's like, was it really his fault? I mean, he had a pretty good game the first one. I mean, I understand Harrington was coming in and he played brilliantly. Yeah. But he didn't really get to go after it either. And then, Sutar and Chakati weren't going to get dropped. So I understand why they did it. But it felt like, he got dragged because he kicked an own goal. It's like he had a very good first game.
Yeah, and the last game against Egypt, Geordie Boss getting completely massacred and not getting a card like that was just ridiculous anyway. But you just couldn't see you saw a bit of firepower from him during the Paraguay game, but he couldn't really get into I didn't feel like he could get into the tournament, really. There was a lot of games that
But I mean, is that him or is that...
No, I think that, I just think that maybe the formation we were going with was more defensive.
I think it was way too defensive. I think that we had a group and we had a first game in the round of 32 where we could have actually shown something. But it kind of felt like we thought we couldn't win. So we have to play for the draw.
And the actual thing was that a lot of the Australians actually thought, this is actually a good result. We could have played Belgium. That would have been a horrible. We could have got. I think it was Iran. Iran, it would have been perfect because we've played them in the Asian qualifier in Asian football for a while now. But we had Egypt. We were playing a team that fans were actually confident we could or at least perform well. And we did what we did against the US and just. I don't know, it just didn't feel like we could.
It felt like they didn't believe it. It felt like Tony Popovic wasn't game enough to actually just say, go play. Like, even against Turkey, that was the game we played so pragmatic because we thought that they were going to come at us, and they did, but they had 30 shots, and they didn't hit the target. I think they hit it 8 times. So, Beach made some really good saves in that game. But also, Turkey were just blowing them over the net, and they were pretty poor in that game too. But Australia, the only way we scored was, we were pretty defensive, and then we got him on the counter with Nestori's goal, and then Metcalf, hit one from outside the box. It was a very good finish, but we played very defensive, and it felt like that was the hard game. We have the US, who I thought we could have had a go at, and then Paraguay. I understand why we drew that, but Egypt as well. We should have we could have won that game if we play well, and we didn't. And it's like we saw Mo Salah on the team. We're like, oh fuck, we can't win this now. I mean, I understand we had to show him respect, but the rest of the Egypt team, who are they? Who the hell are on this team? Mo Salah wasn't in it for the first half, and all of a sudden he was like, oh, I've got to go win this for my team. Why didn't Popovic go, okay, we can win this now. We've got them 1-1, especially after that goal. Yeah. Let's get Mo Toure on the ground, get Volpato on the right, bring off Metcalf, because, not that he was playing bad, but he just doesn't have the pace and the creativity that the likes of Volpato and Irankunda have. Have them two playing down the wings. I understand Boss was injured. I still think he was very good in some of the games. But have them two running at these defenders who are, I think that most of them play in the Egyptian league. Who the fuck is in the Egyptian league? Run at them. These guys are world-class players. And just put some test the keeper. Felt like we didn't really test the keeper at all.
Yeah, I think I mentioned, but once we hit the 90th minute mark before the stoppage time, we just stopped. We were like, we allowed the pressure to come in, and we were just like, oh, we'll go to extra time, and then that's when Beach saved the hand of God.
Yeah,
with that save, and then the first half of the extra time. It was horrible. We just were inviting the pressure, and it was straight away for the second half of extra time. We actually started going for it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why the break to be like, oh yeah, let's switch on.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we just couldn't do anything, and I
Yeah.
was very disappointed. Anyway, enough about the Socceroos. Let's talk about the rest of the World Cup. I mean, we have a perfect example of a team that we could have been like this could have been us. Cape Verde. The fact that they challenged Argentina is amazing. This country is the smallest country in the World Cup. I don't even think they were formed until the 1960s as a solo nation that I found out. Their goalkeeper is a 40-year-old who's playing in the second division of Portugal's soccer, football league. And they've just been the favourite of the World Cup. And they took it to Argentina. That is insane. They didn't park the bus. They took it to them. Like, I think they have a couple of players that are like around the world now that play like play in like the top 8 or 9 European leagues. Like I think one of them plays in Turkey for not Galatasaray or Fenerbahce, but one of the teams below them. But yeah, it's just this team did so well, and the fact that that it could have been us. Like if we actually showed the world what we were made of.
Yeah.
But not about us anymore. Cape Verde, what a World Cup they had. They didn't lose a game in the group stage.
Yeah.
And then they took it up. Like, I mean, no one expected them to do anything. If they went out 3-0 against Argentina, they still would have been the story.
Yeah.
But they took them to extra time, and they were close to getting it to penalties too. Absolutely insane. But you look at it now, Argentina are through. Can you believe that goalkeeper as well? It's the most followed goalkeeper in the world on Instagram. He's insane. It looks like they could be picked up by a Brazilian team, as like the Santos in the world. I don't think they're going to get picked up by them, but he could be picked up by someone crazy. Other results in the World Cup: Brazil lose 2-1 to Norway. Haaland he's there, isn't he? He's good. He's gonna have to carry him on his back, but he's getting him up. He shows how world class he is when he's
when he's
at his best.
Yeah.
Good sign. I mean, it was nice to see Brazil give Neymar a penalty in the last minute of the game. He scored his last goal. He has officially retired. So a champion of the game. He is now retired from from the Brazilian team. Mexico was so close against England. England got a red card. When was that? That was early in the game, I think. 54th minute. Kwanzaa. When they were 2-1 up, they got to 3-1 up with a Harry Kane penalty. Raul Jimenez got the goal in the 69th minute. And I watched the last few minutes of this game. England were hanging on, but Mexico just couldn't score.
Yeah.
So Mexico, that's the first time. I think it's England are the third ever country to beat them at the venue.
Yeah.
That they've played at. Absolutely crazy. And then we move to tomorrow's game, which is on Tuesday. So you guys already know the result of this. But Portugal up against Spain. Ronaldo, the old firm against the young Lamine Yamal. Portugal haven't been that great this tournament. I don't think they go through. I think it's going to be Spain.
You just don't know. You never know what like a Portugal team does. They've done it before. That they've just been underestimated, and they somehow win those sort of games.
Yeah. I mean, we look at this as well. Do you think that anyone can beat France at this point?
No.
You think
France look too good.
Yeah.
Like, maybe Argentina can go back to back, but I think records show they can't. But I think maybe the Cape Verde game might be the spark to be like, okay, now we actually do have to.
Yeah.
But France look on a completely different level.
Well, right now, the first parts of the round 16, there's still a couple of games to go tomorrow, which will be, the first game is Portugal v Spain. After that, we have USA up against Belgium. So, USA against Belgium, I want to see Belgium win this, but let's talk about it. How the fuck can the president of the United States be able to change a decision on a soccer field?
Oh, it's pathetic. And so the red card that happened in the English game today, people are saying that wasn't a red. They're saying, well, FIFA should be standing that the ones be playing the next game.
I saw that. I think it should be a red card, by the way. But anyway.
Yeah, and they're saying, well, yeah, maybe if it wasn't, but they're saying that if they don't overturn it, it shows a double standard.
Yeah, well, I think it does. I mean, it's bullshit. I mean, the thing is, someone brought this up that Ronaldo got a very similar decision turned his way because he was supposed to before the tournament.
Yeah.
But I think Balogun's red card, it was pretty unlucky. I mean, when you look at that,
it wasn't a red.
I think it was unlucky. But the decision was already made. Unfortunately, you miss a game, bro.
Yeah,
that's not. You can't get
football. That's tournament football.
Yeah, you miss a game. You don't get the chance of Donald Trump can call me up and like, oh yeah, no, bro, no, Donald, I'll change the result for you, bro. I'll give you your player back. It's fucking ridiculous. I can't believe that was allowed. It's just fucking blatant cheating. But anyway, I really hope Belgium win tomorrow. And the other two games to go in the round of 16, Argentina against Egypt, Switzerland up against Colombia. Colombia are starting to build themselves into a very good team.
Yes, they are, yeah.
They've got
Luis Diaz,
James Rodriguez, who's just been there forever.
Might be his last one as well.
Probably his last one as well. But I mean, they got Switzerland. I mean, I think if you're any team right now, you probably want Switzerland as the team to play.
I'd be going with Colombia winning that game.
So after that, we'd get to the quarterfinal. So at this moment in time, we've got a couple of games already decided, well, already made up. You got France against Morocco, massive game. Morocco, you don't expect them to, but they're going to give it
the French team, don't they? Or was it the other way around? No, yeah.
Oh, they've got a couple of French players that played like with them.
But that's probably the biggest game. To be honest, yeah.
I think it's the biggest game of the round of 16. I think they are the biggest chance out of any team going on their side of the draw. They've got Portugal, Spain, USA, Belgium, and Morocco. I think Spain would be the only other team that could give them any trouble, France. So
yeah.
I think Morocco is probably their best. It's going to be very hard for them. Probably their first real test for France.
Yeah.
Then you've got Norway up against England. That's a big game because I don't think England have really performed very well.
And the thing is that England have seen Haaland for the last 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
They know what they're going to get. Sorry, who's the other one? It's in there.
You got Oscar Bob. Martin Odegaard.
Odegaard, yeah. They've had two of the best Norway players play in English football.
Yeah.
They know it will be funny.
Yeah.
Like
there's quite a few City players in that England team.
Yeah.
You got Nico O'Reilly, John Stone. So a couple of the defenders, they're right there, ready to go. Norway, though, the celebrations we've been seeing post-game, they are kind of being the crowd favourite right now. Since Cape Verde went out, I think I wouldn't mind seeing Norway go all the way. I think, unfortunately, it's going to be France, though. They're going to be tough to beat. They've barely conceded. I don't think know if they've conceded a goal all tournament. I'll have a quick look, but I'm pretty sure they have gone the whole tournament without conceding a goal because their defense has barely been it's almost like the Monstars, like the Monstars. They just don't get. We're just standing there at the net, bashing up all the Looney Tunes. I think that's basically how France are right now. Just having a quick look. So they conceded 1 against Norway and 1 against Cameroon or Senegal. So they've conceded 2 goals this whole tournament. Yeah, that they're going to win the whole thing. It's pretty unfair.
Yeah,
really.
I don't see France losing.
Yeah, I think they go all the way, unfortunately. But guys, that's pretty much all we have for you for this episode of the Boundary Riders podcast, episode 166. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy it, of course, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you're listening over on Spotify, make sure to leave us 5 stars and make sure to follow so you're notified on the podcast every single week. But again, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you all next week.
See you later, guys.